All right. So, and now we're excited to welcome our special guest to the show, Richard Hanania. Richard is the author of several thought-provoking books, including Public Choice Theory and the Illusion of Grand Strategy and The Origins of Woke. He's also known for his work on elite human capital, or what we'll call EHC, which sounds fancy, but let's be real. Richard's probably just figuring out how to make us all feel bad for not reading enough. And of course, he's a prolific poster on X, stirring the pot daily with his takes on politics, culture, and everything in between. Richard, welcome to Dollcast.
Thank you. I am honored to be with such beautiful and, distinguished company. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, we're so happy to have you.
We're excited to have you here.
So we got into the shit. We really got into the shit when I appeared on your show. It was crazy how angry people got at this. And then I put out a sarcastic tweet calling you my bestie. And now everyone, like, I'm looking at my blue sky today, and it's just like Brianna is hanging out with her bestie, Richard. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I got less of it because I think conservatives are just like, they don't have this kind of culture. I mean, they have weird cultural stuff, but not like you shouldn't talk to this person. I just feel like because they've been excluded for so long, they're just happy anyone would talk to them. So there's not this idea, oh, you shouldn't talk to this person. So I don't think I got it as hard as you did. But yeah, there was, I mean, I don't know. I don't, do you pay attention to the mentions? Like I very rarely do.
Yeah, I do. I do.
How do you have time for anything else? I mean, it's just.
So was admitting it, I don't run a lot of my social media. So don't tell anyone. We'll edit that out. Yeah.
No, but I've seen some of the backlash too in regards to you, Hanania, where I follow the right-wing posters, the people who like talk about raw milk and whatnot. And they'll be like, oh, Hanania talking to a transsexual. What is this? This is disgusting. Yeah, exactly. I mean, people get like mad, but it's, I mean, speaking of elite human capital, I think one of the elements that you've honed in on again and again is like openness or ability to be like a high decoupler, and I think ability to like engage with ideas in the raw, regardless of like who they're coming from. Key element of elite human capital, I think.
Yeah, that's completely right. And I've always had these sort of rightoid instincts. And I think that and that's why I've like, but I also have sort of an intellectual life. And I think when you have these instincts, you don't have an intellectual life at all, like a lot of these raw milk and anti-vaxxers and such are. It's just, you're just sort of disgusted by everything and angry all the time. I mean, I have spent a lot of my Twitter time on Twitter trolling these people. It's becoming a thing where like you can never keep doing the same thing forever because like, I talked to transsexuals. That would have been shocking, maybe a year and a half ago. At this point, I mean, no one's going to care. I mean, we have to sort of find
this point, you can be fucking transsexual.
I know. They would not be surprised.
And then you'd be doing exactly what everyone else is doing, just behind closed doors. So yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I will be, I'll be, I think I'm a trendsetter. I was into this racism and all this other stuff way before any of these other people were.
Exactly.
And I've turned away from it before them. So yeah, they're behind. I mean, their talking points, their instincts, their aesthetics, they're where I was 5 or 10 years ago. And some of them will probably never catch up because there is, I believe, a rightoid type. I believe there is a general factor that makes you sort of close-minded and racist and conspiratorial and homophobic and religious. And like you could separate these things. There's people
really
who
genetic.
are racist and not religious and the opposite. But most people, I mean, for most people, they're like, if they're one of those things, you can predict they're going to be those other things. And so, I mean, the rightoid, I mean, what I'm working on now and what I'm thinking a lot about now is like, how redeemable are these people? Like, how bad is the left? And like, is there a way you can channel like all this energy out there into something productive?
Well, is there such a thing as like having too open a mind? Like, this is kind of where I feel like things sort of went with the left. I mean, progressivism, for at least from my viewpoint as like, in the trans community is like, it feels like it's gone off the rails. Like we took that concept of gender identity and took it all the way. And look where that got us. Like, I have to wonder, does elite human capital kind of burn itself out and sort of like channel into some of more of a restraint? Like there needs to be a little bit more balance to this. I mean, what's your take on that? I mean, you're the expert here.
So I'm this will be announced by the time it's already been sort of announced, but it's going to be announced more officially by the time this comes out, probably. That I'm writing a book on elite human capital. So these are all the
Yay.
questions I'm trying to work
Oh my
out.
God.
Right. And so there,
Yes.
I'm going to have like most chapters are going to make it sound like elite human capital is just good and low human capital is bad. But I'm going to force myself to write a chapter steel manning the case for low human capital. And elite human capital makes mistakes in institutions. I think universities are a great example of this. So one of the things that's good, elite human capital in a way is like always sort of doing things that are contrary to human nature. So human nature is just very primitive. Human nature is very tribal. It like gathers around people who are powerful and strong men and leaders. I mean, this is like the Trump cult, and people just start worshiping and following the leader. And elite human capital often is liberal because it goes against that. At the same time, like you can OD on that, like you can OD on anything else. You could just have a position where like you could have the universities where like the students come in and yell at the professors, and then they demand that they take time off, or they demand that they not be graded. These people who are like sort of below, like you need a kind of sort of hierarchy. You need a way for institutions just to function, and you become rule obsessed, and you become like, if one person is scared of COVID, you all have to mask forever. If one person's feelings are hurt, you have to shut down speech. And it's like, the question is like at the macro level, like when we're looking at politics and we're looking at these people called conservatives and people called liberals, and there's like within them, there is like an elite human capital tendency and there is low human capital tendency. These are coalitions of people across the political spectrum. I guess I should define.
Yeah. So, I mean, gosh, I I have how can you tell if you're elite human capital? Is it like if you have to ask, are you?
Because
gender affirming care, you're there. I mean, you're beyond.
So take for instance, setting up Dollcast. I mean, I used to think like I was just a normal person just because I've got like a wide array of skills. And I think everyone like setting up the show with me here can go like, oh, we need a motion graphics done. Brianna can do that. Oh, we need to get this guest on. Oh, Brianna can do that. Oh, we've got this technical problem. Brianna can do that. And I feel like I'm actually really, really good at picking up a lot of different skills that, I've used throughout my career. And then like the other side of that, like, you talk about rule breaking being an aspect. I truly like do not care if people like, I think about doing the right thing a lot, but I have a rich history of going against the grain at real personal cost in a way that's been like really important moments. And I think you can see me doing that right now with the trans community. So do I count or do I not count?
So the way I characterize it, when I talk about the pathologies of universities, it's an issue of like a tendency among elite human capital, but not every elite human capital turns into like a nerd and a rule follower.
Yeah,
so
fair.
It's a combination of intelligence and idealism, right? Being interested in politics, being interested in sort of truth. If you just look at these, like you look at these, you look at a lot of the right-wing influencers, and they're like into ideas, but not really. Like you can't discourse with them. It's not like you can make a point. It's like, Trump is tough, and this person is tough, and this person is not tough, and this person is gay, and this person is Jewish, right? It's like there's entire intellectual like structures built on just like these silly instincts, but they're not really engaging with ideas in any way. And so there is like a kind of idealism there, but it's stupid. And then you have like smarts without the idealism. That would be just like somebody who just wants to work in IT and like make a nice study with IT. And the book I use the example of the car dealership, because the car dealers are like the most common type of millionaire in America, and they're like overwhelmingly like a Republican interest group. And I just think of them as like maybe smart people. Maybe to be the biggest car dealer in Macon, Georgia, or something requires a lot of intelligence. But I wouldn't call that elite human capital either. It's a very sort of instrumental intelligence. And so Brianna, I mean, that's like, I don't want to think of it like everyone's like, is this person elite human capital? It's more, it's a spectrum. But Brianna, you're smart. You're idealistic.
I don't know if I'm smart. I make a lot of bad decisions.
You
Well,
might
Hanania,
make bad decisions, but you're smart. You can be smart and sort of foolish at the same time too.
I feel like there's a key element of influence when it comes to elite human capital. Like you have to have a certain amount of influence.
Yeah.
Is that a defining characteristic, or am I like misreading on like the biggest element?
They usually do have influence because the smartest and most idealistic people usually have the biggest influence in society. But like if you're an artist who just wants to go live in the desert and dedicate your life to some grand project and nobody ever hears from you and you have no influence, I would still count that as elite human capital. That's just not the majority of them.
So I want to get into some spicier topics, Richard. So I want to ask, you seem like you have a real propensity for women with large body parts. And I just wanted to ask you, do you feel like you got enough milk as a child? Like, what do you think is like?
what drives your Sydney Sweeney addiction?
What is driving this? Because you got famous for making Sydney Sweeney kind of blow up on Twitter. Like that's your thing.
What?
So,
It's sort of a thing where there is like a NASA's versus boobs debate, and I'm like not a participant in that debate. I reject
you're not
it.
a participant.
Wait, Hanani, did you know there's like surveys showing that like richer men prefer smaller breasts, like the aristocratic elegance things? You can go layers deep on this. I'm sure you already know.
I have the taste. I'll tell you, I have the taste of a poor man. This is one way I am not a human capital. I like
you have beautiful eyelashes.
Like, thank you. Yes.
Like a feminine figure.
Well, that was very kind of you. Yes, and so
he was stunned briefly.
I do now. Yes, stunned. Just taking it in, just from the source. I mean, it's just such an honor. So I think I'm saying what everyone's thinking. Basically, I think most men, when they're looking at someone like Sydney Sweeney, they're thinking basically the things that I'm saying. Well, not even really saying, but sort of communicating. And I don't think the breast is like. Not that I'm against breasts, but I'm not. I don't favor it over other body parts more than anyone else. I believe we should.
So which is your favorite then? We're trying to get you on the record here.
I probably like the S better. I'll be honest, but it's there's not an audience for it.
We're all white. That's so cruel, Richard.
No, if I was trying to appeal to Black Twitter, maybe that's my next turn. But I've never had a Black Twitter audience. So you're not going to get engagement.
This is why you're not a white supremacist.
And it's not. It's too crude. And it's too crude. You know what? I do have to sort of take into account that like I have sort of a elite human capital audience, and like they sort of cringe a little bit at the boob stuff. If I did ask, that's it. I couldn't be excited at the New York Times anymore. That's the cancellation. That's just the you're gone. So yes, why I focus on the breasts rather than the other stuff. I mean, that's a fascinating question. There's like complex, like strategic reasons that are based in sort of class and audience and race and all these other considerations.
Really?
Well, I think it's very vitalistic. It's like Nietzschean in a way. Like you're embracing this like natural,
these nerds are small. Like, no, there's no evolutionary reason for that. You're just trying to be sophisticated. You're just trying to pretend like Popeye's chicken doesn't taste good. And you're just lying. It tastes good. I'm sorry.
So do you spend your time on TikTok? Like you said, you got really famous a while back for posting a bunch of really, really cool sorority videos, like Sorority Rush. It's these amazing dance routines. And I'm looking like, those girls, their energy is just on point. The vibes are immaculate. And, like it's filling all the conservative men out there with some really aggressive contradictions. So I wanted to ask you, do you just like log into TikTok and type sorority dance all day?
What's your
how do you find it?
Where do they come from?
I think it's the algorithm. I usually don't search for anything. Sometimes I'll search for something that I know will be triggering, like black woman says why you shouldn't vote for Trump or something like that. Just something that I know will get people upset on Twitter. But now the algorithm sort of knows what I like. It's a very efficient means of search because maybe I will spend every 2 days, I'll spend literally 15 minutes on it and just grab some stuff off there. I mean, it's people, people respond to it. I mean, some of it's just like there are like different kind of genres of this stuff, right? There's just sort of girls dancing. I mean, I started out, I just like, there was some girl I thought was cute. I just watched her dance. And then, it takes you down the rabbit hole. I guess it's very sophisticated. Who knows what your eyes are looking at for the longest period
China's
of time.
very good at this, yeah.
And so, yeah, you'll get.
If you were more elite human capital, you'd be able to resist, man. I'm telling you, you'd be able to.
That's not my definition of elite human capital. You don't have
Yeah,
to.
but how would you get Elon bucks then? He's got a post,
That's true.
Brianna.
That's right.
That's true. So we had a team meeting, and I'm going to embarrass Sky right now, but we were trying to get examples of your thirst traps, and Sky is just complaining. She's like, why do I have to keep scrolling back so far to find a Richard Hanania? Yeah, come on.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I have not been doing a lot of thirst traps lately. I got sort of the election is a sort of depressing time, and I've actually not been on Twitter as much because like people are at their stupidest. It's like the stupid people like who often wouldn't pay attention to politics. They wouldn't pay attention to a midterm or like an off year or something. They are so into it, and they all have opinions, and they're talking so much, and they're just so dumb. And this is like the most depressing time to pay attention to politics. It was fun because of the lead up to the election, but then like after we had the result, it's just like the stupid people they're like at the after party, and they're like really drunk. They're just like more unbearable than they were before. We've had the election. There was the reason for being there. So I haven't been on Twitter a lot. I mean, I'm trying to, I'm trying to build my audience, but I also want a smart audience. And so I spend a lot of time on the essays, but they're both, they feed into each other because like even the thirst traps, there was a girl who messaged me, who's very smart. And she's like, I don't like all the stuff you post about girls, but like, that's the way I found you. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, just
marketing.
Even if you get like, 900,000 people who look at you and they're all, brain damaged, if you get 5 or 10% who are smart, you're still turning over and you're getting a high quality audience. The people who are not high quality often don't end up following me they become confused and scratch themselves.
But I think it's interesting. Like, look, I enjoy watching like girls dancing. That's cool. But like, it's not, I have a different reaction to it. I find it really interesting to look at because I'm not in those spaces with conservative men where I hear these conversations about how they feel about this stuff. I just in a billion years would never think a thought like, how dare my daughter go dance in a TikTok video? Like, that's just crazy to me. But there are a lot of conservatives out there that think that way. So I actually find scrolling your mentions on this to help me understand the other half of the country, if that makes sense.
I've never seen, so people say I would be ashamed of my daughter. See, I must check my mentions less than you because I've never seen that reaction, but that's,
oh my God, it's there. It's there.
I mean, that was my strategy too. Just like post sexy photos online, and eventually people like find my essays where I'm talking about like, democracy, and then they stick around, and I just like talk to them all day. So,
by the way, which one are you? Are you T? Which one is you? With T is the one I deal with.
Yeah, Taft. That's me.
Taft, that's you. Well, I don't know about your essays, Taft. You should send me them.
I should. Yes,
you should. Y'all should be.
I would love to
officially following back.
Let's go. The Hanania follow.
There we go. Now Taft is elite human capital. It's very exciting.
So. You've just jumped up.
Very exciting. It's very exciting. So I want to ask you a really hard question. Do you know the person in project? Like, you were a co-author on Project 2025. Do you know the person that wrote that they are going to end transgender ideology? And could you ask them if we're going to be put in camps? Because that would be really helpful for me to plan.
Are they
4 years?
What is it? What's in there? So I have not seen. I don't know. You could probably go down the list, and you could probably just find the person who seems most interested in trans issues, and you could probably guess. They probably wrote it. What's in there? I haven't actually looked.
And gender ideology, like all that kind of stuff, of which like we agree with a lot of that on the show, but I think all of us would prefer not to, like we don't want the government going. Like, there is a real concern out there with the Real ID system, which does require a gender marker on there that, the Republicans are going to make a political project of forcing all of us to put M on our driver's licenses. So, do you know these people? Do you have any thoughts about that?
I don't have strong relationship with like the social cons. I
Yeah.
know sort of I have more relationships with the people who are just sort of disgusted by transgenderism for secular reasons.
Yeah.
I think that maybe more instinctual reasons. Maybe that's a better word. Yeah, I mean, like it's getting serious at the state level. I mean,
Yeah,
they
it
are
is.
banning, all forms of gender. I think it's probably not crazy that they could go after, in some states they could go after even adult care, although we're a little bit far away from that. Yeah, I mean, this issue did break a lot of conservatives brains. I mean, whenever I do something, like whenever I write something, it's like you get it's predictable how people respond to different points you make. Whenever I make a point about conservatives being stupid, conservatives being conspiratorial, the number one most common response: these are the people who don't know what a woman is. Like, that's all they think, that is the own, and you can never, like, they feel no need to engage in self-reflection. Like, liberals believe that a man can give birth, a man can give birth and a woman can become a man. Therefore, like, we are just the same people, and like all we need to do is, like, once that cleared up the trans issue, then maybe we can talk about something else. And the trans activists are, to a large extent, I mean, they're like, I don't have like that big of a reaction, like, oh, you guys can't, you want to define women in a different way. Well, I mean, I guess I do have a reaction, because you do need a word for like biological women, right? Just saying cis woman is like,
Yeah.
it's pretty a big
Yeah.
imposition on language.
Yeah.
But it's not like I go through life and like people, when I say woman, like people get upset, right? It's not a big thing that's on your, that's going on, like, attacking you on a daily basis. I think it's just like the sign. It's just like the one thing where like the average man, like the guy, the Joe Rogan listener, is just like, these people are insane. And if it was just more like, okay, like, we talked about this, Brianna, when you were on the podcast. We talked about, like, there's a case rooted in biology. You can say the fact that you can have a man in a woman's body and vice versa implies there's differences between men and women, but men and women exist. So if you took that, if the transsexuals took the transsexual movement or whatever, took that sort of more sane approach, I think people would understand it. I don't think people would care all that much.
Oh, Richard, we're trying so hard. I mean, I did Pierce Morgan. It came out yesterday to try to push it around on this. I've got Washington Post piece coming out on this, trigonometry. I have taken on so much hate from my own side, trying to steer it back to sanity. So I agree with you, but it's also true. I mean, Kelly, you deal with these people too. Gender criticals are just bigots. Like, and I was thinking about this today. I was thinking about I'm thinking of a very specific person in the gender critical movement that I got to know a lot during Gamergate. And she was so extreme that 2010 era feminists kicked her out of our movement, like, because she was so crazy and you could not work with her. And she's one of the lead gender critical people now. She just hates men. That's 100% what it's about for her. And I guess something I would love to warn conservatives about is be really careful about giving these people that have made their identity about destroying trans people too much power, because it's ultimately about hating men. And these are literally the same people in the Me Too movement that wanted to destroy people's careers without like investigating any of the allegations. Like, they're coming after y'all next, and it will be porn next, and it will be like, it's ultimately this ideology that sees all men as sexual predators that need to be like marginalized. So I don't know. I'm really worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, I have noticed, like, these, it's in the United States. I guess this is a bigger thing in Britain, these like TERFs. That's not really much of a thing in the US. Apparently they're everywhere, and they tell everyone what to do in the UK. And that's why the trans movement has not made as many advances, but it's at the expense of having these lunatic feminists everywhere. And there's I mean, I noticed on Twitter, like, the ones who are like, a lot of these like gender critical, who are the biggest, like, sort of hysterics about the trans issue, are also like the people who talk about like age gaps and are just like so offended. I saw this one woman, she's like Canadian or something, she's redheaded, I forget what her name is, but she's like, if you're 40 and you meet a woman who's 20, you're grooming. It's just like these people who have like extreme strange views on sex and relationships. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't think you can even, but I think in the US, the gender critical feminists, I mean, I think that's like, don't see them as like a big, I don't see them as a big factor. Maybe the UK, that's like the anti-trans backlash, but not here in the US. I think that that's basically Christians and like anti-wokes and like Rogan fans and, Barstool.
I'm with you, Richard. Yeah, I completely second that. Like, I go out in normal society or whatever, just living my life. It's so rare that I would ever encounter someone that's that extreme or like really pushing like this biological rigidity that like everything needs to be based around. If anything, I feel like there's still a lot of like public sentiment here, but I do worry that it's gained traction in the Republican Party, that Trump, like the Republicans really weaponize this. I feel like like a lot of the, I don't want to say it's like manufactured hate, but it's sort of like, it's a lot of scapegoating that I've seen. Like a lot of just like, this is what we want you to see for like trans people. Like there was an ad that Trump ran that was just all about like, I can't do it justice, but it was literally just harping on the trans issue, and it did so well. And it was like they made an issue out of, they exposed a weakness, I'd say, in the liberal side, in the progressive movement, that, Kamala is not willing to take aggressive stances against the trans movement and where it's gone. And so they're exploiting that, and they're taking full advantage of that. And they just, flash up, let's say, a picture of Leah Thomas and be like, this is what, progressives want, or something like that, when it's not an accurate depiction, but they can prey on the fear, and then Trump gets in office. And so it's like, what is the direction here? Like, how do we recover from this?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just one ad. I mean, this was an ad that this was a theme. The trans women in sports was a theme that they really, really kept hammering. And like, look, I think you have to sort of, I know you women know that you're a minority. You're historically a minority.
Yeah,
have not been treated well.
That's what makes us hot, I think.
Yes, variation, of course. Throughout history, gay people, much less trans people, have not been treated well. And I think that there's just like, you have to sort of you have to like understand that like it works. Like, you could go rationally to people and say like, trans women in sports, like high schools, how often is that, how common is that they're winning medals and so forth? Since when do you care about women swimming? Like no one really knows any name of any female swimmer except Leah Thomas. I mean, it's sort of funny. So like, whatever, vote on the economy or war and peace or things like that. But, you have to sort of take into account human nature, that like people already are primed to scapegoat people who are sexually nonconforming. Right. And so that's why like the trans movement needs to sort of, and the LGBT movement and liberals in general, they need to like take that into account and like not seem like they're insane, not ammunition, because America, we are, it's not impossible that you can have a society that has gay or trans acceptance. I mean, I think they managed to do it in Northern Europe. I mean, it's, societies get there. I mean, we're on the right path. I mean, this is sort of the story of human progress, expanding circle of empathy and all that. You just have to just be very cognizant that like, you are, a spark can really stuff go up. Like I thought that, the gay, I thought, and a lot of people thought like gay marriage and all that other stuff was like settled, but the anti-gay stuff you see on Twitter, that you see, in the last, like, since they had free speech, it was always latent. It's always there. And like when I was a kid, even when I was like in college, people would be like, oh, some people say that it was becoming uncool to call someone gay, if they were lame or something, just gay to say lame. So when I was a kid, when I was like, 15 or something, like that was normal. When I got like 20 in college, this is the early 2000s. People were like, oh, you shouldn't use gay to just means, somebody's stupid or lame. So I thought, okay, this is going to go in like 10 years. Nobody's going to use gay to say stupid or lame. Yeah. And like, it's just everywhere now. Now you go to Twitter.
The R word has come back, Richard. It's insane. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and so we've cycled back to that. And it's just like, it's so hard to sort of get there. And like, people who care about gay rights, who care about trans rights, really need to like understand that like, you don't have the luxury of going insane and like trying to please people having Leah Thomas could be like, you don't have that luxury of like letting these this more exuberant, this more kind of extreme form of your ideology take over, because society won't put up with it.
Well, I want to ask you about that. I want to ask if you see a parallel between the kind of trans women stuff. And, I really think that there's a kind of religious fervor on the left and a desire to redefine these terms. But I wonder if you see a parallel between that and some of the weird right-winger stuff that you see on Twitter, where like left-wingers, high IQ left-wingers, are very good at coming up with sometimes very bizarre arguments for things that are totally nonsense or philosophically bankrupt, and which really just bother lots of people. And it seems like you have the exact same thing kind of in the right wing, where people will just sort of spin their wheels, generating bizarre or nonsensical justifications, which really are just like fundamental to maybe just like an impulse or an aesthetic taste within them.
Yeah, I think that there was I've always traced the Great Awakening. People, you've all seen those charts where like all these terms go up in the New York Times and Washington. Systemic racism and so forth. I've always thought that it just perfectly lined up to when Twitter took off. So it starts around 2011, 2012. That's about when Twitter takes off. It sort of works perfectly. Like these liberals just get together and they radicalize each other and everyone can try to cancel everyone else. And so like liberals had this era where like a lot of mentally unwell people were just online all the time and just going crazy and making everyone else crazy. And then Elon Musk buys Twitter, and now it's the other side's turn, the other side's turn. And I've been on Twitter. I mean, I was like sort of a dangerous person under the old regime. Like I had these suspensions that were just ridiculous. I mean, if I was a left-wing person, there was no way I would have had these suspensions. I've read about them in detail. They're just so stupid. And now I'm sort of I'm privileged in the new Twitter. I don't know if I'm getting boosted or whatever, but Musk
you have a lot of fans. I mean, when I talk to people that work at Twitter, they like you. So,
that's what I'm saying. It switched. I mean, I'm saying, but I'm saying recently it's switched, and now it's like I can see that like right wingers are advantaged, and so like the craziest people don't get lopped off. Fuentes and like Alex Jones, they would all get kicked off. They all had problems. Anyone who tried to be a mini Fuentes or a mini Alex Jones would get kicked off. Now, it's like they're all there. The left-wing people, the crazy people, they're just demoralized. Some of them, they can get banned. They can worry about, they have that worry too.
Yeah.
And I mean, these kind of Twitter is an unhealthy, it's good for, I mean, Twitter's been good to me, but it's an unhealthy ecosystem. And any side that's like not being censored is gonna like go crazy.
Sure. There's this kind of like mob psychosis, which people will engage in, where just people, they resonate with these like emotional ideas. They really connect with them, and it's sort of, they work each other up. But then you move away from what is like true and real and into this world of like custom or religion. And I think that is like so dangerous when you get away from reality.
Yeah. So Richard, I had a really specific question I wanted to ask you. So look, here on Dogcast, we've certainly blasted the left. Like Jesus knows, I've done it plenty. I've got plenty of like issues with the woke stuff. But like, let's have a real discussion about the Republican Party and the state of the Republican Party. It was an insanely high number of people that do not believe the 2020 election was real. You have a party with an insanely high number of people that were willing to believe like the Ray Epps thing at the Capitol and a whole bunch of stuff about January 6th. And I'm not saying this because I don't want productive relationships with Republicans, but there is a penchant for insanity. And now as Trump's picks are coming out, I'm sorry, Tulsi Gabbard in charge of DNI, that is literally insane. RFK in charge of basically, what was it? Was it HHS he's in charge of? This is really crazy, concerning stuff. So I guess it's like, why do you think so much more of the discussion ends up being about the crazies on the left side, which we both agree are a problem? And I guess my second question is like, what mechanism is there to stop the Republicans from descending into madness? Because I feel like we've seen this show before and it doesn't end up well.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, the reason we get more sort of discussion, self-reflection on the left is because the left engages in self-reflection. I mean, the right is a sort of It's a personality cult, and it's always been like this to a certain extent. I mean, George W. Bush, I mean, ran on the idea that we're not going to do nation building, and then he did all these things in Iraq, and they all became like all the people who like love Trump now. Not all of them, but like a lot of them, most of them, the big media figures like Ann Coulter, Laura Ingraham, and even Tucker and so forth. They were big terror warriors. They wanted to cancel liberals, and now they all pretend like they were always against these forever wars that the liberal establishment just forced and foisted upon us. So conservatism has always been like this. Trump took it like to 11. I mean, it was the sort of environment was there to be taken over by Trump, and he just took it to a different level. We've seen more education polarization, where college educated go more Democrat and the less college educated go Republican, and then even more so in like its functioning institutions, media, academia, and so yeah, I mean, it's a problem. This is sort of a cycle, and I wonder. I did not predict that the Trump picks were going to be this crazy. There's a very funny video.
I think there was a clip going around today really calling you out on this and saying that you would, I believe, say you regret your Trump vote if RFK was put into power. So I want to ask you, do you regret your vote for Donald Trump?
Yeah. So I was on, the stream with Destiny and his friends on election night. And when it looked like Trump was going to win. And it's like the point, like, do I regret it's like, I could be like 55% Trump, 45 Kamala, and I could change my mind the next day. Like, I feel like
really?
It's like, I am just so not
I feel similarly.
Yeah, same.
And so it's like, what's the point? Like, if I tell you today I would vote Kamala 51, next week I could change my. People would think I'm an idiot because I'm like changing people too much into the like my views.
I find this a really dodgy answer, Richard. If I can say so, I really do.
Well, I made a similar argument to Brianna.
Hold on.
I was in the same boat.
Project 2020. Neither of you worked on Project 2025. That is a high-level Republican heritage operation. I know people at Heritage. Come on, Richard. Like, you're talking to me.
Well,
that is a club that has a very specific environment and a fundraising apparatus. You have to have certain attitudes to get into the door there, like you just do. So, and you're telling me you could flip-flop on a dime? You're my friend, but I don't believe that.
Did you see all my Kamala posting during
Let's hear him out.
I was so wait. So your argument, Brianna, is that you think that because I was on Project 2025, I have to be. You're predicting.
I think it's hard for me to understand personally. Now, it's been a long time since I've done anything with Heritage or I've worked with them, but like, I think they have a certain person that they let into the door that has a certain set of attitudes, and it's just hard for me to believe you would not be Team Trump.
The gate is much more wide open than you probably imagine.
It could have changed. It's been a long time. So
and it's good that you were in there.
And I mean, but whatever. I mean, even if I was like 100%, I mean, I wasn't. You can go back, look at my writings. Whenever I was doing Project 2025, I was criticizing Trump for a very, very long time. I mean, I was very, very. Maybe they don't pay attention. I don't know. But like, that's it's not, the vetting probably wasn't the best, or they just like me regardless. But like, I think that my argument before was like, the people from Heritage, I had the same sort of, I think, idea that you did. It was the same kind of idea that, like, look, it's going to be Heritage and it's going to be Project 2025 people. It's going to be like the American First Policy Institute, which has problems, but like it's within a normal range of like sanity. But that's not RFK people, and that's not Tulsi Gabbard people, and like Heritage would not have recommended Matt Gaetz. That would be too.
Oh my God, no.
Like, this has not been Heritage or Project 2025. This has been partly that in the appointment. So all he's done is appoint people, but like, that's important. It's been like the lunatics he's been on the campaign trail. It's been like it's been like Maha and these people who are these Alex, sort of the Alex Jones wing of the Republican Party, and that's a very bad sign. That's not what I was expecting. That's the point of that clip.
Really?
Well, I made a similar argument to Brianna, which is that, like, if you're going to vote for Trump, the reason to do that is you expect that once he's in power, Trump's this kind of narcissistic buffoon on the campaign trail. That appeals to a certain type of low human capital voter. But once he gets in power, he's going to surround himself with people who are incredibly intelligent and who can write policy. And for me, like, the reason why I kind of can go either way on different days is because I'm doing this calculation about like which set of elites is ultimately going to be better, and not necessarily like the personality of Trump. So, cards on the table, I voted for Kamala Harris, but if I was going to vote for Trump, it was because I thought maybe he had this potential to surround himself with really good, very smart people who are going to meaningfully challenge the kind of establishment stuff, but not go off the deep end. And so I don't know. I don't know what world we're in now.
I wanted to believe that too, but I'm thinking back to his last term and I'm like, how many of them even lasted? Like, Trump demands this loyalty complex. I don't know. Like, that's how I see it. And it's just like, that's why they all dropped. Like, his cabinet, like, everyone was, no one stayed around. It was like, it was just crazy. So I'm left wondering the same thing with RFK.
Yeah.
I mean, like, is this the same Trump, or I don't think he is, but I'm like, what degree of that loyalty is going to be necessary for these people like RFK to stick around in that cabinet?
He is, the first term, he had these people who were sort of adults, and they all ended up calling him Hitler and leaving and saying he was a fascist. And it was so funny. It was like 46 cabinet and like 43 or something. The numbers were something like that, like didn't support him in 2024. And that was, a sign. And I think he was sort of changing, he's become drunk with power. I mean, he used to believe, I think he used to understand that he was sort of in a coalition. And over time, it's like somebody's a dictator, for 30 years, they go insane. He's become like a dictator in the Republican Party. He's become like sort of like a mad king. He goes, I can appoint my daughter-in-law, Laura Trump. I can make her, the RNC chair. He doesn't show up to the 2024 primaries. He doesn't show up to the debates. He just wins every primary. He doesn't have to do anything. And it's just the connection he has directly with the Republican base is just so strong that he's just become this kind of person who, he can challenge them now. He can say about the abortion. He can talk about things that, he can create some distance between him and conservatives in a way that he couldn't before. And so I think that's what we're seeing. It's like, who is RFK? RFK is like not someone who has support among many conservative donors or
at least not historically.
And so forth. But it's just like Trump likes him because he likes Trump, and like it's going to be like that. I mean, Gates' only qualification. You see that clip with Gates, I stand up to nominate Donald Trump for Speaker of the House. I mean, just a ridiculous figure.
Yeah, it's insane.
Trump worship performance art, and like. And every Republican in Congress, thinks Gates is crazy, and they say they won't vote for him, and it doesn't matter because it's just all about the Trump cult now.
Yeah,
but you still voted for him.
And you still voted for him.
I know.
I mean, I'm starting to see the error of my ways.
Just going back to that time, what were you thinking? Yeah. What was your strategy?
If Burgum was the VP, it would have, that's the great what if. I mean, the Burgum is great, and he just became Secretary of the Interior. So who knows? Trump might do great things, and he might change my mind tomorrow. I don't like people put too much stock into like who are you going to vote for? Like it doesn't matter. My ideas are what matter, right? I'm going to criticize Trump when he does bad things. If it was Kamala, I would criticize her for bad things. It's not like, okay, I've done this calculation. Now I'm going to give you, okay, you should vote for Trump or you should vote for Kamala. It's the ideas that are important. And I hope everyone who's has influence on the right will listen to my ideas, and people who have influence on the left will listen to my ideas there, right? The who you're going to vote for thing, it's sort of a loyalty test. I think it distracts from, what I can provide to people.
Fair enough. All right. So, Richard, I want to get to a fun segment. One of the things that we, when you and I got to be friends, that kind of set things off a little bit is when I announced I was going on your show, I posted a picture of Hunter Schafer. And I posted this as an example of just trans women looking normal and hot. And oh my God, did trans Twitter get angry at me? I can't remember what you said, but you were like, now that's a woman or something.
I remember that.
Effect. So I have noticed, so we're about to get woke here on the Dollcast. I have noticed a stunning lack of representation in your thirst traps of the sisters. You don't have any sisters in your thirst traps. So we have brought you some options today, and we have written some tweets in the style of in your style, and we would like to propose this to you. So we're going to put this up on screen right
Please,
now.
I'm honored. Yes.
Look on your Twitter, because I can't get it here on screen live as we're doing. So look in your DMs, okay?
Uh-huh.
So what's your analysis of this aesthetically? Is this good, Richard? Like,
break it
thirst
down.
trap. Break it down to us. What happens if you're considering making a thirst trap tweet about this?
So usually, I like to have more to work with in terms of I like videos or like TikToks or something, or unless it's like Sydney Sweetie, if someone's famous, you can have a little bit more room. So it's hard to just take a photo of somebody. Look, she looks Asian. She looks like she's
really?
She looks like Southeast Asian, maybe.
She looks like she looks like a lady boy. This looks like a case for more immigration visas.
Exactly.
I'd probably go with
only for the hot ones.
Like that. What do I have to work with? I have race. I have the big boobs. Is that a cross? Is that a cross? That's not a cross. That might be interesting to work with. But yeah, she's very pretty. Are you going to tell me she's I
didn't get the picture. I didn't get the picture. Was this you, Taff?
What's that?
Was this one of yours, Taff?
Oh no, not me.
I'm pretty sure
It was probably Skylar who sent this.
She's very pretty. Passing, obviously.
Yes, obviously. Okay, so here's the copy we wrote for you. So bad. Conservatives need to embrace their inner desires. Sometimes the best way to fight the woke is with raw, unapologetic attraction.
Wow.
I'm sorry. That's funny.
That's my best. That's me trying to emulate you. So I guess I did not do.
She said she could write your essays earlier. By the way.
I mean, it's not. It's too sexual. You want sexual, but you don't want to just say this is sexual. So you don't want to say. What if you say something like raw? Like I would not go that explicit.
Imagine her as your milkmaid. You say something like that.
Okay.
like Nanny, you can think of a situation where like she would be sexually attractive and she would be around and she would be available, and you would fill in the blanks. You would fill in the picture in your own head, right?
No, I get it. Okay,
you can tie that into immigration or economics or something else, right? But just to go beat the wokes with raw sexual attraction, go have sex with these trannies, like
that's
it's too vitalistic.
That makes sense to me. Okay, I feel like because of the immigration angle, this is a good option. So I'm going to give you another one right now. We'll edit the pauses out. All right, I think she's the prettiest, in my opinion.
I'm eager to see.
Not my type, honestly.
Not your type.
He likes blonde.
I don't mind fake, but there's a. Well, do we know her? I mean, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
No. I don't know her.
Okay. Yeah, the lips are too much. I don't mind fake some things, but the lips are just I don't know. Like lips have to look natural to me. It's just my own aesthetic preference. So it's the lip thing. But she's pretty.
She's so cute. Oh my god.
She's cute in like a little sister kind of way, little brother sister. Yeah.
All right, let's get a little more exotic.
Mm-hmm. You wanted to give me representation, sister. So we're gonna get a sister here.
Oh, these are all trans women, dude.
Oh no, I thought you were. I thought
they're all
sisters. Like,
yeah,
I thought you meant urban.
Sisters is what we call other trans girls.
Oh, okay.
So,
we adopt a lot of Black culture. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
This is like she's getting dropped off. Like to college on her first day.
She's got the girls out. I don't think she's getting dropped off to college.
She's getting dropped off to college, and but yeah, it was zipped up before her dad dropped her off. And now it's coming down. Now she's out on the town. Yeah, I don't know. Tweet videos are for the tweets.
So you gotta get some trans girls to make some videos for you. Okay.
I did send a video.
Videos, but
yeah. Wait, Taff, you should send
I could
the
do
video.
something. This is
no, I sent it to you. It's in your.
This is one where you could say like, imagine caring like if she has a penis. Like you could do it like that. It wouldn't be that explicit. It would be like, imagine caring about something as silly as chromosomes in a situation. Like she's sitting next to you. You could do that.
Okay. I dare you to do that. I dare you to do that. Okay.
All right. You want me to do it now? You want to just?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I do. Well, look at our fourth option, and then you can make up your mind. Okay.
Okay.
So here's one more.
Okay. This has Game of Thrones. Okay, this is kind of this reminds me of I'm watching first season of Game of Thrones again. And yeah, this has a Daenerys look. This has a conquering feel. This is the best combination of male and female, right? Because you have the muscle,
The power.
feminine, it's all that.
What there looks male to you?
Oh, the stomach.
Yeah, okay, I see.
The stomach.
Yeah.
Muscularity.
Usually, most women do
that's
not
fair.
have
That's fair.
I don't mind that. I think that muscle is good. So, yeah, I mean, even the shoulders and the chest. Some guys are so worried about being gay they don't like any muscle on women. I don't agree with that. Actually, if I just stare at the belly button really closely, yeah, I see men's health. I see men's health there, but it's okay. You can look beyond it.
All right, I dare you to tweet this, and then we'll put the video out about the story behind the tweet.
Okay, let me see. Chromosomes. Not that important.
It's such a privilege to see how the magic happens.
I know. I'm getting an inside scoop. This is amazing.
Okay, no, I'll do it in a question because I don't want to be that aggressive with this one. How important are chromosomes really?
Oh,
Really? Once you've found what you're looking for.
yes.
Double entendre. I like that.
This is actually a fact check. This is a trans woman. We are certain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are certain.
Oh, really? Once you found what you're looking for.
See, you don't even believe it.
Well, I'm a very important. Fact checking is very important to me. I try to differentiate myself from the low human capital shared fake news. If I got that wrong, I would be very upset. Okay, it's there.
Source: trans women said so.
I don't even explicitly say it though. I just say it could be just like it's ambiguous. There's like you want to get the debate going because you want
Right.
4 different things people can debate, and if you're really smart, you can usually figure it out. But if you're not, you're just confused and debating in the comments, which is good for the Elon bucks.
So I do believe Kelly, who's our little firecracker on the show, I do believe she found an older tweet of yours she wanted to talk about today.
Okay, I didn't even have it prepared. I just found an old screenshot of I can pull it up where you replied to somebody.
Oh, here's Taff.
I've got it right here if you want me to read it.
I think, yeah, I just found it. You said people say you were replying to Matt Walsh about a video he did to Dylan Mulvaney. And you said, people say this is mean. I think the situation calls for brutal honesty. You want to transition. We wouldn't lie to you. You'll be the ugliest woman in the world. People will be sickened and you'll need a censorship regimen to make them suppress it. No, before
He's so
proceeding.
red.
I just want to I just want some context, I guess.
I mean, it is what it is. I don't think the context helps. There's truth in there. There are women who transition and they look, if you're gonna present as the sex opposite you're born, you are going to sort of inspire something in people that is, you're going to bring it out. I'll be honest with you, trans women I don't have that reaction to trans women. When I see a biological woman with a beard, I'll admit it drives me up the wall. It drives me crazy. I have this instinct, and some people I think have that. I just love women so much that if you sort of are in the shape of a woman, I'm happy. To me, it's sort of the opposite, where it's sort of frightening, And so that's true. And so I think what I would change from that, and when was this? This was maybe do you have the date on that?
I don't. I couldn't. It was just a screenshot I
Yeah,
found.
it was at least 2 or 3 years. Whenever Dylan Mulvaney was in the news,
Mhm.
I would put the emphasis like people should like just get used to it. And I actually I stood up to Dylan Mulvaney when this was going on, and I did say that like Dylan Mulvaney was sort of fun and nice, and like why are you people putting bullets in beer cans over this? You're sort of a bunch of lunatics.
Yeah.
And so I would sort of change the emphasis. I think I've seen it with like the craziness of the right. I see them go after surrogacy. I see the Dobbs stuff and what's happening at the States. And I'm just like much less sympathetic to like these people's gut instincts, because like I have these gut instincts, but like I don't have these gut instincts about the things that they do, like abortion and euthanasia and like surrogacy and all that other stuff. So yeah, there's truth in that, but I think my sort of attitude on this issue has changed over time.
So do you think trans women are a kind of woman? Like, how do you classify us?
I'm like it's words. I mean, words are words. Like, you say, is this person a liberal? Look, we need a word.
The word is trans woman.
The word is trans woman. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, we can call them women.
Yeah.
I'm fine with using pronouns. I see no reason to say I am standing up for biological reality and taking a philosophical stance by saying you are he and you are she and and so forth. If you wanted to, if you wanted some kind of pronoun that was like completely different, I mean, that would be, I think, weird. I think that's like an imposition. But Brianna, it's natural for me to call you she. It's not. I would have to work. I would actually have to work hard to call you he. Like I would have to go out of my way to troll people. Any of you. I mean, you all look like women. I forget. I don't like. It's not on the top of my mind that you have penises. If you still have penises,
No.
it's not something that. Okay, it's not on the top of my mind. It's not something I think about when talking to you. Or when
Not all of us.
So. Yeah, I mean, this is like.
If you had to guess which of us had penises,
Yeah.
Really interesting.
I want to know.
Yes.
What you got?
50-50.
Can you tell me how many do and how many don't, and I can go.
2 don't, 2 do.
Okay, so you said you don't, Brianna. So one of you doesn't, and 2 of you do. I feel like Kelly, I think, doesn't,
I don't know.
and you other 2 do.
That's correct.
Yes, guilty.
Wow.
Nailed it in one.
Mhm. Impressive.
You had it easy with process of elimination. Come on.
Yeah, I did, but still, I had 1 in 3 chance of guessing, right? So that's
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
What was the thinking going into it?
Taff is Taff. Is that how you go by? Yeah, you
Yeah.
are. I think you're more transhumanist, so I think you would want to combine the male and female. And I think that Kelly, I think she was more sort of feminine. It would be like an easier decision. Like I feel less conflicted, so I want to go all the way and get bottom surgery. And so I thought Taff was most likely to have a penis. I thought Kelly was the least likely, and then just because 2. I'm sorry, I
Right.
forget your name.
Skylar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Skylar. So I said, yeah, Skylar has one also.
That's fairly good analysis.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Break it down.
That's I feel proud of myself. I feel like I saw something.
That's astonishing. You have a gift. You have a gift. Go
You should
lead
do-
your life into
You
the
should
world,
test
Richard.
it scientifically.
Yes.
You need to give me more pictures of trans women. I should probably need to see them like talking and stuff. Like I need to see.
So
Right.
there's a
Maybe-
really
There's a
hot
personality.
video.
Right.
There's a really hot video Taft took a while back, and I may like jot that into your folder with her permission for you to
Okay,
consider
I see Taff sent me a
tweeting.
video. I don't know what this is. It's gonna
I did
maybe
send
start-
you a video jokingly.
Okay, so should I play that or is that our secret?
Yeah, sure, you can play it. Yeah.
Are we gonna? Let's see what this is. Okay.
The face. I love it.
Well, yeah, I'd
What's
consider.
going through your
sending that
mind?
to-
What's going through your mind
Yeah, what are you
as you see
thinking?
this?
Oh, what am I looking? Oh, just Taff sticking out her tongue. Is that what we're looking
Yeah,
at?
yeah.
Well, very very nice.
If I was not on the show, I would submit it as to get the Hanania review.
It's yeah, you've got the look. You've got the sort of bored teenage girl thing.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Oh,
You've nailed it.
We have a question we ask everyone. Do you think traps are gay?
Do I think who is gay?
Traps are gay.
What are traps?
You heard this great meme. Is it gay to be attracted to trans women?
Yes.
It's I don't think so. No. I mean, if that was your thing, just to be interested in trans women, I think so, because that's pretty specific. But it's no, as a general matter, I would say not. It depends on sort of what you want the trans woman to do to you, right? I mean, there are some things that the trans woman could do to you that would probably be gay, and other things that
Right.
are not. So it probably does
That's fair.
depend on the sort of the nature of like what you want done and what you want to
If you're
do.
the active partner, not gay.
But
It's very
what
Greek of
part-
you.
What
Yeah.
goes where, and who is the
Yeah.
recipient, and who is the? I mean, all of
Mhm.
this. I mean, it's sort of there's some things where some acts a man commits where you have to be gay. I mean, you just.
I think so. I think so.
It's conclusive, right?
It's not gay as long as you call it a she-ness.
Yeah, that's no. You have to put on the wig of your boyfriend and say, "Yeah, I'm not gay now." But
I think
yeah,
it's
not
gayer to be into
necessarily.
non-binary people, to be honest.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hot take.
What was it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was
Sorry,
kidding. I was just saying I think it's gayer to be into non-binary people.
Yeah, that's gay in the colloquial sense. Like that's
Yeah.
just like
That's like we need a word for that.
Mm-hmm.
gay in
Oh my
the
goodness.
non-binary attracted people. Yeah.
Just use the
Mm.
app.
Do you ever
Be
see like
sexual?
the yeah. Do you ever see like the towel boy memes on right-wing Twitter? Do you ever see those? Oh my god. Okay. Well, I want to ask you this just in general, but I don't know how much you follow like the Bronze Age pervert kind of crowd. Because I was going to recommend you read Selective Breeding: The Birth of Philosophy, but
I've read it.
they're obsessed with the towel boy thing and being nude bodybuilders who have sex with maybe feminine young men or maybe women. It's mysterious.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I've seen these pictures of these BAP meetups, and they're always these like short, stout Indian guys. I mean, there is like a kind of fantasy these people are, where they're all burning warriors, and they're like not actually in real life. So I don't, for that world, like I don't know, like whether to take anything seriously. It just all seems like a lark from top to bottom.
It is. It's very like, I don't know. It's very romantic. It's very artistic in a way. I mean, like
It's
Bab is like a
romantic.
very, yeah. Well, I think he's a romantic. He's like very, I mean, romantic in like the philosophical sense, like very much someone of passions. And, he gets away a little bit from the rational, analytical stuff.
Yeah.
And think of
I-
Bronze Age mindsets kind of like a work of art more than
Yeah.
science.
I think he needs to, we talked about sort of being fresh and evolving. He needs to, like, I don't know. I read both of his books and I used to like check out his timeline, but like, I don't see progression, and it's a performance art, but it needs to progress. It needs to change with the times. And so like, I was hoping Bap would come out and like, I don't know, do something in real life, but he sort of, he does it. It sort of seems like it's a shtick that's sort of run its course. I don't want to say it's run its course, but like, I think it needs to I think it needs some sort of innovation in that community.
Yeah. What would you do if you were him? How would you handle it?
Oh, I don't
How do you
know.
inject freshness into it?
I can only be. I would. Yeah, I mean, it's hard because he's got this image. Like, I think he's got this image where he was for a very long time I'm this international man of mystery, and like, I don't know who I am. And then like, he's basically doxed. Comes out, and then it's like, what do you do? Like, I think he's like got this thing where it's like you can't sort of see him. Like, I'm very, I think, relatable. Like, people feel like they can yell at me and like talk to me and so forth. I'm sort of down to earth, and I'm in the comment section, and I'm, honestly, I'm telling people what I think. And I think he has this thing where he's like here, and that's like fine if like you're a dictator or something. You could do interesting things with that. But he's like a character, right? And so like. What he does from there, I don't know. Because it's risky. He can't just come and like, I don't know, like make a dork of himself once in a while.
Because it breaks the character.
It breaks the character, but the character
Yeah, he's sort of
has to
strangled
evolve.
by it.
And that's what's different. Maybe he should become a leftist. Maybe he should do what I do and become like, the ones who accept transsexuals are the left. The effeminate men. I want to have relationships with them, and the left will let me do that. That would be funny. That would be hilarious. I love that. But he's not going to do that. He's actually a conventional sort of right winger who just thinks immigration is the biggest issue, and like all politics should be judged through that lens. He even says in Bronze Age Mindset, like at the end, he's like, oh, support, Ann Coulter and Pat Buchanan and Viktor Orban. He mentions Orban. I don't know if he mentions Ann Coulter and Buchanan, but basically says like support anyone who wants to stop immigration. And so it is a kind of like, at its root, it is a kind of white nationalist, nativist worldview. And so if you're that, then you can't go left because your sort of focus is very narrow. So I don't know. Like it depends on, I don't think he's just a performance artist, right? I think he believes things. So like I can't say like what he should do without saying like what would be consistent with his.
So Richard, I gotta ask you, why do people think you're a white supremacist and a Nazi? What's going on with that?
I used to write things that, sounded like that.
Like what? Like what? What'd you say?
Like bad things. I
like what? Give me an example.
I wrote that like maybe we should like I basically wrote for a race-based immigration restriction as policies. I did write some things that the quote that people always use is about like maybe we should sterilize all these people. I didn't say that. It was more of a hypothetical, theoretical kind of thing. But it was open to interpretation. And I was like friendly to like a kind of white nationalism as a check on wokeness. So that's what I believed 12 years ago.
Right. It's been a long time.
Have you ever had an interracial relationship?
Yeah, many.
Yeah. I think it's hot. I'm really not that into white guys, to be honest with you. Like I think Asians, that would be
that's a unique preference. But I mean that's great. It's great people have different preferences.
I do.
I would never. I'm like white guy obsessed.
Really?
Really? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Really?
Is that racist? I feel like people would say that's racist but me.
I think it's kind of common actually.
No.
Yeah.
No, Kamala lost. I think we're open to new ideas.
Yeah, you can say anything now.
Wait, what is interesting about white guys to you?
I don't know. I really don't know. I just like white guys. I would never date like a black man or an Asian man or an Indian. I would always go for
where does whiteness end? Does he have to be Nordic? Could he be Greek? Or
No, American. Only American.
He has to be
wait, so not European?
You wouldn't date some hot Israeli?
No, I like people that are from like America. I don't know.
That's an interesting preference.
Yeah, that is interesting.
What about an Armenian American?
I guess I'd have to like see a video of like this person and their accent to know exactly what, because I don't really know what you guys mean by that.
Okay.
Like I'm having a hard time
Caucasus.
What is
a beard and a gold chain.
No, oh my god. I mean, I barely like beards at all. I usually I hate men that wear jewelry too. I can't like that.
Okay, I feel like I've got to make the case for Asian men. Okay, number one, very little body hair. I really appreciate that. Smart, above average earners. They are adventurous typically. They are, and they're put together. Like, so I don't know. I think Asians, that's the way to go.
A lot of women like put together. You mean like sort of stable and like
they've got their stuff together.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what women like. That's not exciting, I think, to a lot of women. I think it is to some women, but not all of them. So
a lot of women like more masculine traits. So like if you look at the dating statistics breakdown, it turns out that women tend to prefer men of their own race, but also slightly prefer like white and black men. And for men tend to prefer like Asian women and white women. And that's kind of like broadly true over a lot of different ethnicities of men. But some of the hypothesis for why is kind of the opposite of what you're saying, Brianna, where like the idea is that from, a white woman's vantage point, she might see an Asian guy as being like more feminine because he has less body hair and therefore like less sexually dimorphic. So there's like less attraction there, which is why Asian men sometimes feel like they're kind of left out of the dating pool.
No,
at least in America.
No, like you met my husband. He's got this energy of like a Mongolian that just crawled over the wall and is about to like take on an entire army. Like
I was going to say he's like a puppy. Like he's very sweet.
He's very sweet, but he's got that like.
But he's actually a Mongolian conqueror.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll tell you stories later. Yeah.
Well, we all know why men prefer Asian women. Like, let's be real.
Why do they prefer Asian women?
Yeah, why?
Oh my god, because they're smaller, because they look more like innocent. Like, I mean, not to say all men. I don't think like all men are predators. I know that's like a topic that got slightly brought up, but I mean, there's a reason like teen is like the top category on adult websites, and then it's like Asian women that look young as fuck. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Richard,
Yeah.
where's your ranking? Where's your ranking?
Yeah.
As far as women go,
Favorite races.
Either I'll listen to either men or women.
no, I like women. Yeah, I mean, I think whites and Asians are
Really?
top. Yeah,
You fall right into
I
the
really like
Side of
variety.
Solomon.
But I will say I do like variety, and like if I'm looking at a certain kind of woman for a while, I want something else. I mean, I think this is
Yeah.
normal for a lot
Yeah.
of guys. I think me more than most, and I think I'm probably I would say like there's a Nordic prototype, there's a Southern European, Mediterranean prototype, there's an Asian prototype. Those are all beautiful and amazing. And then there's like other women will also get, like, to the extent they can match those or come close to those prototypes, then yeah. But like I can't choose between them, you understand. It's just sort of the variety is the most important thing.
Yeah.
See,
I
this
do
is
like
my
black
theory.
women.
Oh,
I think
go
black
ahead.
women are
Sorry.
gorgeous. And like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like we were saying earlier in terms of like very curvaceous, like black women and Latinas who like fall into that category, very much like the type of women that I find attractive.
Oh.
So yeah.
What about, this is my theory, what you were saying about men getting bored with stuff. This is my theory about why men get into trans women, because I think that like they've seen
there's
all the
novelty.
porn of the most Instagrammed girls from the time they've hit puberty. And I think at some point they want something a little bit more exotic. And that's what brings them to trans women's doors, in my opinion.
I think it feels like sort of like you can be yourself around them because you feel like they're
They like video games,
they're like
Yeah.
in a way, and like they're going to be more sexual. Like I think there's part of that too. But yeah, a lot of it's just variation, right? It's just chicks with something extra. Yeah, I mean that is men. Men are like most perversions. People are like, oh, men are sick. Yeah, they just want different. Like different can take you into all kinds of directions.
I don't
There's
think
this
that's
book-
true. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tim.
Oh, well, I'll let you go in a second. There's this book by like the Google founder guys called Billion Wicked Thoughts. And it talks about like why men might be attracted to trans women. I think one of the theories that they posit is that men, they're very visual. So they see like boobs and they see like feminine face. And it doesn't really matter like the exact context. Like a guy could masturbate to like a curvy piece of driftwood. Like it doesn't really matter. But when he sees like the penis, there's this like sexual competition response as well. And both of these responses exist simultaneously. And so it like heightens the arousal to be like, I'm getting like the part of my brain that lights up when I see a naked woman is going. And then also there's a part of my brain which is like, I need to compete with like whatever is belonging this, owns this penis. So that was their theory about why.
It's fair. You feel like you could win the competition too because it's often shriveled.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like, oh, I can totally dominate this tiny creature. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think most men just want to be loved. I think that's really it. And
course,
I think because of the trauma, a lot of trans women, especially ones into men, which are vanishingly rare these days. I don't know. I think like we're very loyal to our men, so I think that's a lot of it.
I'm going to maybe I'll tell my incel followers to consider trans women. I think they should consider new things instead of. But you guys probably don't want the incels anymore.
I'm good. My husband has a PhD and makes a ton of money and is a science fiction celebrity. I don't need an incel. I'm good.
Oh.
I think you should send your followers. Yeah, I think there's some nice trans women out there who would love to chat with the Hanania followers.
Well, I always said this even before you get to that. Like I've been telling these guys. By the way, we've got for this tweet I sent out, we got 21 replies and 111 likes.
Yeah, that's not really good. I'm
111 likes, 10,000 or so views. So it'll be bigger. This might reach six figures eventually. Anyways. Yeah, I've been telling them to like you morons who are like anti-immigration. Like before you don't even need trans women. You could just like there's a world out there of women who like would just like die to come to America, and you have like a lot of money, relative to them, and like they're short, and maybe you're short, and they're even shorter. There are some races that are very short, and like compared to American women, maybe you're not tall enough. But no, like the incels are the ones who want to restrict immigration. Like figure that out. It's just it's completely irrational. I've been trying to sort of talk them into having a healthier attitude towards these things.
So,
Yeah,
do you
totally.
expect to do any work with the Trump administration?
not publicly. I mean,
Not
that's
publicly. It's a sort of a back channel thing.
But
I've
from
done that.
behind, you'll be
Yeah.
puppeteering.
Yeah.
everything.
I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, I can say it. Like, it's not gonna like matter. Like, if some journalist is gonna, it doesn't like nothing matters anymore. Like Gates, like these crazy people. Like, I feel like nothing can do anything. Like, and so yeah. I mean, the civil rights stuff. That's the stuff they'll listen to me on. I'm sort of not in good standing with. They have, the economic views I have are going to be represented, and the Israel stuff. Yes, I will be. I will be a voice on that.
Will
Okay.
you back channel? I would love to go to the White House and make the case for Trump on this executive order he's talking about signing. I would be
Which one?
honored to
What
go
executive
there.
order?
He's talking about signing an executive order saying that your birth gender should be the only gender reflected in legislation, and federal documents should require that. I would love. I'm working to back channel this, so any help you can give me. And
I don't know.
making
That would
that
be hard.
case in
I
person.
thought you were going to say there's something on Israel that you want to talk about, and then that
I would talk about Israel.
if
I would
the
love
White
to
House,
talk
they would be
Israel.
like,
Really
look at this
bothers me
country.
that Elon is trying to undermine our foreign policy by trying to talk to Iran's embassy. That's really out of bounds.
Oh.
Yeah, I did see that. I do have a little bit more. I'm like sort of more open to talking. But yeah, I mean, I think we should probably. The Iranian regime. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is kind of but anyways, if you want to do something on Israel with I think they would love to have this left-wing trans woman come to the White House and be like, yeah, stand
I'll
with
do
Israel.
that. I'll talk to him.
I think that would be better. And then yeah, I mean, you can maybe maybe if you're talking to Trump one-on-one, maybe you can charm him and he won't
We'll see what
sign
happens.
any anti-trans.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yes.
Use your feminine wiles on him.
Yeah.
I'll
You're up
try my
against
best.
Jenner. You haven't made. You're good.
I'll do fine.
Yeah, I wonder if Trump would. Yeah, I wonder what Trump would do if he was approached by a very attractive trans woman. I wonder. It can go in either
Right.
direction. I think when he
People
was younger-
forget this.
Right.
He
The Stormy
had the
Daniels
Miss Universe concert, and back I think this was 2002, because I was transitioning at the time. There was a big scandal where someone was in the Miss Universe contest, and she was trans, and he held this press conference to announce if he was going to let trans women participate in his contest. And he came out in favor of it because she was insanely hot. So I think Trump thinks with a very singular dimension, if you get my meaning.
Well,
He's a red-blooded American man.
Yes.
He has
yes.
Well, I think Trump is just an attention hog. So that was a good way to get attention back in early 2000s. But he stood by that position about trans and beauty pageants in the 2016. It was one of those things where people are oh, this is going to sink Trump, and then it didn't matter because nothing matters. It's just all this personality.
Yeah. All right, we got more of the show to get to, so we are going to say our goodbyes. But it was lovely having you.
I know.
Yes.
This was so fun.
I would totally talk more.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. All right. It was fun, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Hanania.
Bye.
Bye.